Generally, people think of heritage buildings as old buildings, and that's not the only reason why a building might be important. A heritage building is one which has values, is something that you value that you want to pass on to the next generation.
In the recent World Urban Forum, StarProperty TV interviewed Elizabeth Wines on her recent collaboration with ThinkCity and the book Streetwise Design. It is a practical guide for new developments and also adaptive reuse in Asia's livable heritage cities.
The whole shophouse tradition of the colonial heritage which is developed in Asia has some similarities to the kind of development that's occurred in Australia, working with smaller places which have history and social value that makes me more inspired. But I suppose I'm very interested in people and the way people live and what works for them in a city, and as an architect, you know, really you want places and spaces to work well for people. I know I feel happier if I'm in a place that feels good, and architecture is all about providing shelter which feels good for people that they can relate to. It's important to know what it is that you want to keep, and the way you find that out is to have some assessment yourself as an architect and planner, but also to consult with the community. What is it that people value? And generally the approach is that you get people trained in the field to undertake surveys and to make recommendations, but that should involve community input, and particularly to consider what the social significance of the places are. And also I think it's important when you're developing strategies that you have a long-term time framework. But that being said, it's always good to have some short-term achievable goals so that you can set examples for what might be done. For example, undertaking a model conservation project, or this building, for example, is a good example where the government agency showcases how it is that an adaptation can be successful. So you need to have a clear idea of what it is that you're trying to achieve, and then you outline the steps to achieve that. I think there's a range of things. I mean, I think that there are some very good initiatives which are going on in Malaysia. You have mentioned the issue of green roofs and community gardens. I think though that those are spaces that need to be deliberately planned for by the government, and often they can be using leftover spaces which might be temporary whilst a development is being proposed. I think in Malaysia there's a large focus on car accessibility. You know, there's a lot of course, emphasis and development and infrastructure improvements for cars, but lesser emphasis on making streets walkable and bicyclable and more livable at a calmer level. So thinking beyond just the car and thinking more on the development of public transport, which I know is developing, but there's always room for more solutions to public transport and accessibility, I think.
Streetwise Design will soon be available for public to purchase in bookstores. Stay tuned for more updates at www.thinkcity.com.my.